Hello everyone, Pigeon here. Today we're going to go over a tutorial on how to create a basic tile map. We're going to create some grass, maybe some extra details on the grass, and create the auto tile system that you see for the water here. And of course we're going to add collision to the water as well, so look forward to that. Feel free to use the assets that I have down below in the description box, but of course you're free to use your own tile set. Alright, let's get started. So the tile map that I created, it looks like this. And so this, all of it I drew. We've got 1, 2, 3 different grass tiles, and we've got a 4x4 plus one tile's worth of water that we're going to be using. And this is going to be the foundation for our tile maps. First things first, we're going to want to export this just by itself. If you draw up your Godot tiles, I would recommend definitely going for 17 tiles, just like this. And then you go to File, Export As, and then you're going to select just your selection right here, and you export it. So I've got my water tiles right here, and basically it looks like this, right? Now there's this one really helpful tool on GitHub by Warea, and this person has created an amazing tool for us that you can use to generate the full Godot tile map just by having any of these tile sizes. Yes, you can work with a basic tile, just 2 tiles, or you can go for slightly more tiles. Look up the FAQ here, there's a link as well with example inputs. I would definitely recommend the 4x4 plus, which is the format that we have, because I think it gives you the nicest output for the least amount of work. And so we've got our water tiles right here, and all we have to do is just drop it in here. And you know, it doesn't look amazing in the center pieces, mostly because we have a lot of the dark. So that means that, hey, if it doesn't really look as good as you expect it to, like if you look at this, you're like, hey, this kind of looks wonky, then this is how you know that, hey, you need to fix it up a little bit. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to make it a little bit better. Alright guys, I finished working on the tiles. I had to take out the center dark part of the water because it was a little bit too hard to match it up with the rest of the tiles. So throwing it into the tool, it looks something like this now. And so what we're going to look at, just like before, is we're looking for the preview just to make sure the tiles kind of flow into each other. And I don't think this is perfect, but I think for the purposes of this tutorial, I think it's good enough. We're going to go up to here, we're going to right click and save image as. And I'm going to throw it into my Aseprite folder just with the tile map tutorial. And then I'm going to call this water tiles 47. Now we can bring it into Godot. Alright, so let's get our assets into our assets folder. I've got the water tiles 47 right here. I'm just going to drag it into the directory wherever you guys need to put your water tiles. And then I'm going to start by opening a new scene. Okay, so we're going to make it a user interface. We're going to have the control on the top. And let's just call this test map. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a child node here. Add child node. And it's going to be a TileMapLayer. There's both a tilemap and a TileMapLayer, and you're going to know which one you want to use because one of them is deprecated, and we don't want to use the deprecated one, so let's use the TileMapLayer. So as soon as you get the TileMapLayer in there, you're going to notice that this tilemap appears in the bottom, and so this is what we're going to have to use. So if you click out of it, it disappears, right? So you're going to have to select it, and then you can actually get into this area right here. So before we do anything, let's just call this tilemap water. Alright, so we're going to select the tilemap water, and then we're going to go to the inspector tab, and you're going to notice that tile set is empty right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to create a new tile set. And so once we do this, you're going to notice that on the bottom, we had tilemap selected, but now we can go into tile set. So once this is here, we can drag and drop our water tiles in. And then it's saying the atlas texture was modified. Would you like to automatically create tiles in this atlas? And we say yes. So once this is in here, inside our tile set, we can go over to our tile map and we can paint with this. So if you select this, you can just kind of paint. If you select this, you can paint. We want like an empty tile probably. We can paint like this. And if you want to get rid of this grid, you just select up top, and now you can see the masterpiece that you've created. Okay, but we want to auto tile, right? Because what we have right here is this, and we have 47 tiles, so we should probably use the autotiler. So how do we do that? Well, we have to go back to the tile set. So make sure that your tile map is selected and go to terrain sets. Terrain sets, and then we're going to add an element. And then we're going to expand this terrain, add element. And now we're going to see this terrain is here. We're going to call this water. Water. And brown I think is okay for me. So once we create this water terrain, we can go back to the tile set. We can go to paint, and it's going to let us select terrains now. And from terrains, we can use terrain set 0, terrain water. Okay, so what are we doing here? We are going to create, I believe it's a bitmask. And what this bitmask does is it basically tells Godot that, hey, this is the way the tile has been configured, and so you can auto tile it based on the bitmask. That's kind of complicated, but what we're going to do is very simple right here. So make sure that this looks about the same. And it's kind of hard to see, but all these tiles currently are deselected. So we're going to have to select all the tiles. And once we select them, they all kind of highlight, showing that they're active. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create this bitmask, which is basically, it's like I said, it's what Godot uses to do the auto tiling for you. And the nice thing about this is if you use Warea's tool, it'll always come out in this format, right? So then you can always, the bitmask pattern is always going to be the same. So it's very simple to do. Basically, you want to select the inner portions. In this case, the water is on the inside and the dirt path is on the outside, right? So you just want to add the bitmask to the water portion, avoiding the land. So then we're going to do this. This part is very zen-like. Once you have done like 1 or 2 of these, it's just, you already know what you're looking for. And it's always going to be the same, so. That looks good so far. And then this final bit, make sure that you get this point right there. This point right here. This one has the 2 corners that we need to avoid. And this one has the 2 alternate corners that we need to avoid. And that is what we need to do to set up the autotiler. So with this being done, we can go back to tilemap now. And instead of just selecting the tiles right here, we can go to terrains. So if you had a tilemap, you can just kind of add tiles like this, right? But if you wanted to use the auto tool, Alright, so it should have been in there. I just have to click around. I clicked this and then I clicked this again, and then it popped up right here for me. Okay, so when we go from tile set, and then we go to tile map, right? And then we go from tiles to terrains, and then you select the terrain set. It's going to be terrain set 0, and we're going to use water here. All you need to have clicked is going to be connect mode, and now you can kind of just go over what you've created, and it will auto tile for you. Sometimes if you have a broken piece right here, just delete it by right-clicking, and it creates a nice auto tile for you, which is really cool. And now let's get the grass in here. Let's go back to Aseprite. This time I'm going to select just this guy right here. File, export as, and I'm going to call this grass tiles. Grass tiles.png, save, export. Now let's go back to Godot, and I'm going to add my assets into the same location, grass tiles. And what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go to the tile set, and then we're going to click and drag the grass tiles in. the atlas texture was modified, would you automatically create tiles in this atlas? Hit yes. And now these 3 tiles are highlighted, so I think we're good to go. We just go straight to the tile map, and now for this we can't auto tile it, obviously, so we're not going to use the terrains tab, we're just going to paint from here. So basically click, and then you can just mouse over and fill this area in. Fill this area in. And then of course you can add a little bit of detail, make it look a little different here and there. Kind of like that. Now I think one thing we should talk about are these cursor or these tools right here. So when you select something and you want to paint, you have to use this tool right here, the paint tool. So make sure this is selected. Select to paint and then right click to delete. You can use this picker tool to select a tile and then you can paint with that tile again. Maybe select this tile and then we can paint with this tile. And there's some really cool features as well, like placing random tiles that you can definitely look up on the Godot documentation for Tilemaps to make your tilemap workflow a lot smoother. So now that we've got our map in here, let's throw our character in here if you followed my character tutorial. So I'm going to save this as a scene, but I'm going to throw this into my prototype folder. And I'm going to look for my player. Or actually, let's see, let me look for my player. Test character right here. So I'm gonna just copy this in like that, and I'm gonna move my character over. So I'm gonna left click, drag, and unfortunately my tile map isn't centered, so maybe I should fix that. But let's just run it real quick. Yeah. So it's not centered, and we can walk on water. So let's get those 2 things fixed up. So we've got the tile map selected. It's on over here. I'm going to select this, press Alt, and I'm just going to move it, just like how we moved our character. We're going to do that one more time. I'm going to select everything, press Alt, left click, move it up like that. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to run this current scene again, just to see what it looks like. And now it looks a lot better, but let's get rid of this gray border right here. Yeah, so my cursor is acting up, right? The thing is, we have move mode enabled, so we need to be back on select mode. And now make sure that the paint tool is selected, and now we can paint. So let's just paint with the normal grass, and let's get this bottom part as well. Cool. Now everything looks good. We run it just to make sure. Sweet. Now let's just figure out how to add collisions to the water. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the tile set, make sure that the water is selected, tilemap water, and we're going to go back to the paint feature. So we're going to click the water tiles because that's what we want to work on, and we are going to want some collision. So it's not showing up right here right now under physics. There's no physics layer, so we need to add that. So let's click this, go back to our inspector, go to physics, go to tile set rather, and then go to physics layer. And just like we added a terrain set, we need to add a physics layer. So let's add this element, and let's leave the collision layer for 1, collision mask for 1 for now. And now we're going to head back into our tile set, go to terrains, and now we can use this physics layer. Make sure that you have your water tiles 47 selected, and now let's expand this a little bit. This part's a little bit annoying, but I'm sure you guys can do it. So let's take a look at what this does. It looks like this currently, but if you click right here, you're going to notice it's going to get applied. So first things first, I know we're working over blue water and your collision might look blue as well. So let's go to project settings and let's look up collisions and go to debug shapes and shape color and turn it to something dark and not blue, and then hit close after you save it. And so this basically represents the collision. So if we have our character right here, we can run into this and it'll be like running into a square. So we can test it out. There's a sharp corner right here. So we just can't get onto this block, which makes sense. So what we have to do is we have to shrink this area. So just drag these corners, make sure that this edit points tool is selected like this. And I'm going to zoom in just once. And let's pretend that you actually hit this, right? What happens if you hit it? You get another point to work with. So if you create a point right here, you can adjust the shape of it to how you want it to look. And say you accidentally created a point that you didn't want, you can use the delete points tool. Just select the point and it'll delete the point. But make sure to go back to edit points tool again. So now that we look at this, it still looks like we haven't applied it, right? So let's just select this, left click, and now it's going to kind of paste it there. So for example, if I just left click right here, it's going to apply it right there. But once we select it, it changes the bottom tile so that we can better look at it. My recommendation is to just select it and then work out the shape of it. Work out the shape of it like this, and then just reselect it. I think that's one of the better ways to go about it. Cool. So next we're just going to select this as well. Expand this. Select it again. Go over here. Bring in the points. Something like, whoops. I'm going to delete that point. Whoa. Deleted too many points. Okay, and then I'm going to select it right here. And we have a lot to work through, so let's just speed this up. So one handy tool that we can use is we can click right here and we can rotate right and left. So let's just give it a shot and rotate it to the right. And now let's see if this fits right here. I think it looks pretty good, right? So select this and now we can flip vertically, apply it right there. And how you select one of these tiles, you don't want to apply this to like this one, right? So we're going to use this picker tool right here. Click this, select this, and then I'm gonna rotate right, paste it right there, and we have a lot more to go. So let's go. And with that, it's all done. So now that we've painted the physics layer, we can go back to our scene and now hit run to see the collisions working. And it's not perfect. I'm getting stuck right here. So let's also debug this. Let's close this real quick and go to debug. And let's show the visible collision shapes. So click this right here, press run. And we're going to notice that we get stuck right here. So this is like a useful way to go back and fine tune just like the little places where you shouldn't be getting stuck. With that, thank you for watching this tutorial on how to use Tilemaps in Godot. Hopefully that was useful to you guys, and if you have any questions, as always, just let me know. There's definitely more tips and tricks that I haven't touched on that exist, and you can find them inside the Godot docs, so I definitely recommend taking a look there. But for now, this is like a very basic way you can get set up and just start running so that you have a little base for your character to just kind of move around in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.